Hey, hi, how are you? How are you feeling today?
I'm doing alright. I'm processing, trying to at least. So
Yeah.
overall pretty good.
What are we processing today?
My husband's mother died about 8 months ago,
Mhm.
and it feels like I lost my mom too, right? Because that was my mother-in-law. Just feeling distant and trying to dive myself into work. I'm a math teacher. Funny enough, I actually hate math, but
Well, I mean, everyone finds some love for what they do.
yeah, it's not the math part, it's the teaching part. So I am trying to work through that right now as my husband is also grieving and so am I, but we definitely do it two different ways. So
And you said you're doing it in two different ways. Can I ask how are you grieving?
I'm diving into work more, so I feel like I'm occupying like my brain and my thoughts into work while he is doing it differently, which I would say his is very sporadic. Which is fine, but also at the same time not recognizing that maybe I'm grieving too.
Yeah. So you're grieving separately. You're doing it in two different ways. And You're grieving separately as well.
Correct.
Okay. Could you tell me a little bit more about how that's probably affecting your relationship in any way?
Yeah, I mean, communication is down. He wants to spend more time alone while I want to be able to process things together. I think that maybe I've dealt with loss before, so I understand more of the process, but he doesn't. This is his closest family member that has passed away. So I think that, and it was due to cancer, so it obviously is different compared to someone who's elderly. So I think he's working through that right now too, but I wish he would do it with me.
Yeah. You know, you're his wife. You want to be there for him. You want to support him in any way you can. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think with it, you know, it's good to acknowledge that we have different grieving styles. Not everyone's prepared to grieve together. How have you been doing at home? I mean, do you guys have any kids together? Anything like that?
Yes, we have kids. We have 8 kids, so we have a lot, and they're grieving too because that's their grandma, and he isn't really doing much work in the way of parenting, so it is me, while I'm also grieving too.
Yeah, I mean, and it can definitely be hard when you're trying to raise such a big house and it feels like you're kind of doing it alone. Can I ask how long have you known his mother?
Since we started dating before we got married, so 25 years.
So it was a big loss for you.
Oh yes.
Okay. Yeah,
For
and I
sure.
think with that too, and I mean, I can't imagine having to guide your children through that as well. I mean, you mentioned your husband's not there with you in that way. You're doing it alone, I'm
Yeah,
assuming, processing it with them.
I mean, yes, processing it with them. He's still around when it comes to like eating at the dinner table together, but in the way of helping them understand maybe what death is, talking about maybe the after, like what comes after death. I think that's a conversation that needs to be had with the kids, but it's not so easy to do it alone.
Yeah, no, and I can definitely understand that. I think when it comes to that conversation, it's always something big, and I imagine whether you're going to do it one-on-one or you're going to have it as a big family, you definitely want to have that support there because you want to make sure that they're understanding both of your perspectives. I think grief definitely affects a whole family, and it can be very confusing having to go through it alone. Can you tell me a little bit more about his grieving process? You mentioned, you know, he's there for meals, but he's been very distant. Is it emotionally or physically?
Honestly, I've only seen him cry a couple of times when she passed on her birthday, and then talking about Thanksgiving coming up, and then not having her around. But there hasn't been like a whole bunch of emotions, more of like isolation.
Yes.
So he's just isolating. He goes to work, comes home, feels almost like he's dissociating from reality. But overall, I feel like, I mean, he's just more quiet. not as vocal. So
Okay. So I think we got a good picture about what kind of he's going through. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you're grieving? I know you're trying to put yourself into work and everything like that. You know, you mentioned that you're not a big fan of math while being a math professor,
Mhm.
but you're doing it for the aspect of teaching. So I imagine that you really have a connection with kids. I mean, you have 8 kids of your own.
yeah. So because I'm at the community college, it's all adults, which I like more. So then I don't have to deal with children that I already have to go home to.
Mhm.
Love them, but I think when I grieve with the kids, I'm trying to stay strong for them, but also show them it's okay to be emotional.
Mhm.
So I feel like I'm definitely good at putting up a front for a little bit, but then also being able to open up to my children to know that it's okay, that
Yeah.
to show emotions.
And you mentioned putting up a front with your kids. Why do you feel the need to put up a front?
Just because I feel like there's like moments to be vulnerable and then moments to be strong.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that maybe that's what your husband's doing?
No, because he doesn't show any of that to our children.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Have we? And you mentioned that he's been very silent, so I imagine you guys haven't had that one-on-one conversation about what he's experiencing in that way, right?
Yeah, definitely tried. He doesn't talk about it though.
Mm-hmm.
So although I feel that I'm putting in the work right now coming to therapy, I mean it's ideal if he does too for grief therapy. I've never asked him to. I feel like that's got to be coming from him wanting to do that work. But I do think like maybe over time a conversation would be had when he's ready,
Yeah.
not forced.
Okay. And then and it's good. It's good that you acknowledge that he has to go through his own things. You're not gonna force him into anything. Nothing good ever comes from
No.
forcing anyone to do anything.
Absolutely. Not
So,
from him.
yeah, and I'm very happy. I'm very glad that you've taken that step to handle your grief in its own way by coming to this therapy. It seems like you're kind of frustrated with him though, that he's not taking those steps with you, or at all.
Yeah, I'm a bit frustrated, but I'm more so for the children, for the kids. You know, I want them to see like it's okay to be emotional.
Mm-hmm.
I think men always, not always, but men put up a front, thinking they have to be strong, and I think he's trying to be that, but it's almost making things worse.
Yeah, he's doing
So-
a little too much.
So I get frustrated, and I feel like I'm doing a lot on my own, and feels like I want to be able to move on, but like I want to do it in a healthy way and not just distract myself and then hope I forget about it.
Yeah. And I mean, with grief, it's not something anyone ever really forgets about. I think it definitely becomes a part of who they are. It's a new, it's an altering experience, and I think with it, it comes with a lot of change. And I think it's important to acknowledge too that grief is a very internal process. It's something that everyone goes through in their own individual experience. It's amazing that you're trying to teach your kids to be very emotionally vulnerable with you and creating that safe space for you. I do wonder though, when it comes to your husband, maybe have you had a conversation with about how his behavior is affecting the children rather than the grief itself?
No, I haven't. I don't know when the right time would be because I don't want to limit his grief of his mother. Because I know if I was me in my position with my mom, I'd probably be the same way. Maybe a little, different. Like the time would there'd never be enough time for me to feel, whole or complete. So I feel like I'm waiting for maybe a shift in his mood or something that maybe he feels a little bit more lively to talk about a situation rather than like kicking him while he's down.
Yeah. So it sounds like we're waiting for him for a lot of things.
Yeah. I just feel like I don't know how much time is enough time for me to be able to share how I'm feeling so he doesn't feel like his feelings are disregarded.
Yeah, and that's very big of you. I think that shows that you have a lot of love for your husband. You're very compassionate. I wonder though, are we maybe holding back from something that we want for the betterment of someone else? I think even with our partner, maybe we should make the time instead of waiting for him to be ready, especially if it's concerning you and how you're feeling in the situation.
Yeah, no, I agree. I guess I just don't know how to go about that.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that we can discuss. I think, what are you hoping to get out of the conversation?
I guess more of like an understanding on maybe how I can help go through it with him so he doesn't have to do it alone.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like he's doing it alone when I'm right here.
Yeah.
I think too, like a conversation, like maybe us talking together with our children about the situation, so that they know that their father is going through the same thing and that he understands, and that we'll be able to talk about her and recall memories and be able to look back on pictures
Mm-hmm.
without getting to the point where he is right now.
Yeah. And I think with it too, I love the way that you mentioned how you want that to go. You have a very clear picture in your mind, and you want to have that sense of unity with him and your children. But it does sound like it's your way of grieving, not his. And I think with it, maybe we have to figure out how to grieve without him in the picture, and maybe to some further extent without your children. You know, we've spent a lot of this session talking about his experiences, what we're doing, and I've noticed that every time we bring up the way you're grieving, we mention work, and we kind of let it fade out at that point. Can I ask, how are you feeling in your grief?
Sad would be the appropriate word. I guess I'm feeling that I'm sad, but there's no other way to go about life besides moving to the next day. That sadness, that loss is always going to be there. But the sun goes around, the earth rotates, you gotta keep moving.
Yeah.
Especially when you got 8 people to feed, or 9 people, including my husband.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's a great experience for you. I think with it, we have to acknowledge that we can only control so much. That we can only really focus on what we're able to do. Excuse me. When it comes to your husband, I think maybe like you mentioned, there's been a lack of communication, and I think maybe we have to have that sit-down conversation whether we think he's ready or not, and really clarify what we're doing. Because if you're moving on day to day and he's stuck on one day, at that point you're not walking together anymore, right? And I can imagine that that's setting some instability in the marriage, something that we don't want that there. I think we might have to make him a little bit uncomfortable, and by extension make you a little bit uncomfortable, it seems, because if we're waiting for him, we kind of have to push him into being ready to have that conversation.
I mean, I'm open to the conversation. I think getting him to sit down and actually continue the conversation is going to be the hard part.
Yeah.
So, because there have been instances where I've definitely tried to open that door and it gets closed. So, I think that's why I've been hesitant from that point on to continue to evolve or get into another conversation, or try to at least.
Okay. When do you usually try to have these conversations with him?
Kids aren't in the house. Usually the weekends when we both don't have work. Because after long days, we both are probably irritable and tired after our children having dinner. So usually the weekends. Over the past couple weekends, a lot of the kids wanted to be with their friends. So when they're away and we have private time, is when I try to. But that's when he likes to go off and go to the gym or work on his car outside. So those are his ways of, I think, filling his time.
Yeah. Ways to distract himself.
Yeah, for sure.
Are there anything that you guys like to do together as a distraction?
I mean, going to the movies. We like the movies. We like playing really loud music, and not that it's fun, but cleaning the house together and dancing around. That's fun.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I think with those moments too, they definitely provide opportunities for a deeper connection. You know, it's just you two, you can kind of be swept away in the moment with each other. I think with those moments, I mean, it sounds like we do take those opportunities to try to have the conversation, and he always kind of just redirects the conversation, or does he just end it?
Ends it.
He'll just end the conversation. Yeah, that can definitely be frustrating.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think with going forward in that, maybe we can try to set up some goals, try to build that better connection. So with it, it seems that our main goal is to just improve conversation with your husband. Does that sound about right, or is there a different goal that you have in mind?
Yeah, that could be one of them. I think too, like sitting with my sadness rather than diving into like work is really big. I think I tend to distract myself a lot, and I think that maybe doesn't necessarily help me go like move or like actually process it.
Yeah.
It just helps distract me, and then later on I still have the same feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and you want to work on both goals, or
yeah,
you want to? Okay.
both of them, all the goals, all of them.
Perfect. Okay, so let's start off with that one first. If we're gonna be, if that's something that maybe we weren't able to really delve into as much in the session, maybe we can do that just to address it a little bit. If we want to kind of work with ourselves, do you do anything to like organize your thoughts? Are you a bit of an overthinker?
I would say I'm a type A, so I have everything planned out.
Okay.
So I'm definitely organized.
Okay, cool.
I
So
have to be.
we're kind of already in the mentality
Yeah.
of like writing things down, keeping things pretty organized. I wonder if maybe if we want to delve into those emotions, maybe we divert some of that energy into maybe keeping a journal. Every time we feel that we're throwing ourselves into work, we can start maybe something daily, just really quick, maybe 5-10 minutes, just writing down how we're feeling, writing down if any big triggers came up that made you extra sad or that caused you more stress than it needed to, just so we can kind of organize and kind of see what we're doing with that. And I think another thing that we can do with that is that we can start building ways to challenge those feelings, ways to find things to combat that. That way we can start building the coping skills from there. Does that sound?
Yep, I can do that.
Perfect. And I think in terms of like building that communication with the husband, it sounds like maybe we've been focusing a little bit too much on the grief. Maybe we need to focus a little bit more on the relationship in general. And I think I understand that that's something that we want to process just because we feel that we're not walking together. It feels like maybe you're trying to move on and he's lagging behind. Maybe we can just build a bridge to come together first. And maybe that means increasing the date nights, maybe spending a little bit more time together. You mentioned a couple of things you like to do with him. Maybe increasing that and kind of pushing the conversation to the side burner. If we've already made attempts and it's not working out, maybe we should shift focus for a little bit, kind of just keep that as something we can have on the side, and it's when the time comes, like you mentioned, if he just needs that time, we can try to give him that time. And I think with it'll definitely try to build that space again. If there was a separation, if it's been building, you mentioned it's been 8 months, if that space has been building, maybe we just need to start closing that gap before we address the bigger issue. Does that sound like we could do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Maybe we can increase that. How many times would you guys say you have date nights? Like once a month?
Like 1 or 2 times.
Yeah. So maybe we can try to aim that. You mentioned the kids have been going with their friends every weekend. Maybe we can do one every week now, just to kind of build that routine in it and get it more back into the sense of normalcy. That sound good?
Yeah, definitely we'll try to do that.
Perfect. I thank you for coming today. I think we really got to a lot of things. I'm sorry if there was something that we didn't able to delve into, but I feel like we had a pretty good rapport going on. Is there anything else you want to mention before we go?
No.
Perfect.
That's it.
Perfect. Cool. We'll make that appointment, and I'll see you in a week.